Part 97. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 961. Although Lu Ligan and others thought they had made preparations, the next situation was still much worse than they expected. Starting from the second half of 1997, China's economy entered a 6-year recession. Deflation, slowing economic growth, low price levels, increasing employment pressure, and significant decline in exports. Deflation is caused by a combination of factors. The main reason is, of course, this year's Asian financial crisis, which has reduced the purchasing power of neighboring countries and caused a sharp decline in China's product exports. At the same time, these countries' direct investment in China has also significantly reduced. Another important reason is that since 1993, the inertial effect of the country's vigorous measures to control inflation happened at this time. Since the reform and opening up, China's economy has generally developed along the trajectory of growth expansion governance tightening stagnation relaxation expansion. After Deng Xiaoping's speech during his southern tour in 1992, a new round of inflation appeared in China. Starting in the summer of 1993, austerity policies with the main content of suppressing inflation were implemented. Hainan was the first to bear the brunt of the stormy series of austerity policies. The media it's called a combination punch, and it made Lu Ligan, Meng Ping, and the others dizzy, and they finally ended their dream of Hainan. This round of tightening policies lasted until the end of 1996, and China's economy successfully achieved a soft landing. However, the implementation of any policy will have recoil and inertia. The tightening policies adopted during this period continued to have lagging effects in 1997. In addition, the continuous advancement of the reform of state-owned enterprises has resulted in an increase in laid-off workers in some industries and enterprises. In addition, many of the township and village enterprises that were prosperous in the past few years have been gradually eliminated in the competition, resulting in the problem of absorbing the surplus rural labor force. With the weakening of capacity, the surplus rural labor force is concentrated in cities on a larger scale, resulting in increased employment pressure in cities. For Lu Ligan and others, the direct impact is that although the reform of the housing system and the social security system have been launched, there is always a sound of thunder, and the rain keeps falling, one piece here and another here and there, and the implementation of the system there is a gap. In almost every city, housing reform is underway and welfare housing distribution is still going on. This has made many units that carried out housing reform early and quickly regret it. The uncertainty of housing and pension policies makes people feel uneasy and insecure. They don't dare to spend the money they have, so they keep it in banks. Although the central bank has repeatedly lowered deposit interest rates, it is increasingly uneconomical to save money in banks. The deposits in the bank are increasing instead of decreasing. The people seem to have made up their minds. If they don't spend money, they don't spend money. I won't spend it anyway. The superposition of these factors has directly resulted in insufficient purchasing power in society as a whole and insufficient momentum to promote economic growth. Not to mention Lu Ligan and others, even Zhang Chen and others felt that after the second half of 1997, it seemed that the number of people buying clothes began to decrease, and the sales of specialty stores across the country dropped significantly. The stall owners in the dynamic zone downstairs began to complain one by one that it was difficult to do business. Several of Zhang Chen's clients who provide private customization services came to Zhang Chen directly and shyly told him that their family business was in trouble. There were no orders and even workers' wages could hardly be paid. Zhang Chen understood that this was to terminate the consulting service between them. Although it was not allowed according to the contract, Zhang Chen still refunded the money that was due to them. These people never appeared again, and I don't know whether it was because they felt embarrassed, or they then returned to the ranks of common people, going to the market to buy food, haggling for every cent or two, and caring about what is fashionable or not. Sales of Lu Ligan's Sci-fi project have dropped much more than Tan Shahan expected. Although they have adjusted their sales strategy, it still doesn't help. Tan Shahan had to suggest starting to stop more and more projects, because if these projects continue, even if the houses are built, no one will buy them and they will remain vacant. Looking at the newspapers and TV, the financial crisis is still continuing. When no one knows what it is. Although the news also talks about expanding domestic demand, and the central bank is also cutting interest rates and adjusting deposit reserves, the purchasing power and the people's desire and courage to spend money are like being restrained and cannot be raised. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan were panicking. Lu Ligan said, "If it doesn't work, why not try lowering the price?" Tan Shahan and Ying both objected immediately. They knew that this could not be tried. In today's climate, if you dare to lower the price, the first people to come to you to settle accounts will be those who have already bought a house. Unless you can refund them the difference. Ying led her people and quietly conducted an investigation, and found that it was not the price at all, but people nowadays who had no desire to buy a house at all. Those who don't have money can't afford it at all, while those who have money feel that there are too many uncertain factors in the future. They need to save for retirement, for medical treatment, and for children to go to school. It seems that money is spent everywhere, so how can I save this money? It's not enough. The current old house can only make do with it. Even those who run businesses dare not spend some money. Their businesses are not dead, but they are frightened when they see others die. They feel that what they keep may be the money to save their own lives. It's not easy to sell the things produced in the factory. Money isn't as easy to make as it was in previous years, so we don't dare to spend money. Tan Shahan didn't dare to spend it. It wasn't that they didn't have money, nor were they short of money. On the contrary, banks were under great pressure to lend money. In turn, they asked them if they could help with a loan, but how could they dare to lend? In this world, there is no cost if there is no money. They are not short of money now, but have too little income. Without income, there is no profit. Without profit, how can they bear the interest on the loan? You never know when these days will end. No matter how much money you have, you will always run out of money. Tan Shahan first asked Hang Cheng Center to slow down the progress of the project, and then she simply gritted her teeth and stopped the project. It's better to be in the account than to become reinforced concrete and fill that huge hole. At this point, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan had a dispute. Lu Ligan believed that the project could not be stopped. It would be too ugly to stop, even if a dozen people were left to show off on the construction site every day. Tan Shahan told him, "Brother, what matters now is how to survive, not about face. If you build a house out of concern for face, but it turns out that it cannot be sold and it is empty, wouldn't you still lose face? I had no face at that time, but after spending hundreds of millions, it would be worse to have no face now. Besides, we stopped work voluntarily, not forced to stop work. Our company is still operating normally, and our construction site does not owe anyone a penny. No one will go to the construction site to pull up banners. What is there to be embarrassed about?" Lao Tan supported Tan Shahan's statement. Lao Tan and Lu Ligan said, "Gangzi, don't forget the hardships we suffered in Haikan. Both of us are the same. We both refused to stop. As a result, the losses increased and we finally lost our ability to clean up. If we stop as soon as we find a problem, will our life be so sad? Many times, you don't just accept things when they are good, but you have to accept when they are bad. It is more difficult to accept when things are bad than when they are good. Those who gamble until they lose their fortune are people who do not know how to accept when things go wrong. If he had that kind of control and would stop at the sight of trouble, how could he have ended up like that?" After listening to Lao Tan's words, Lu Ligan was a little moved. He remembered the time when he and Meng Ping went to the Macau casino. Whether it was at the slot machine or the baccarat table, Didn't they just know how to take advantage of the situation? And what Chen Qiang was most worried about himself and Lao Meng was that he and Lao Meng simply did not have the self-control. Lu Ligan looked at Tan Shahen and asked angrily, after stopping at Hangcheng Center, "Do you want to stop at the city in the sky too?" "Yes, I will," Tan Shahen said. "I will stop as long as necessary or if the situation does not improve." Tan Shahen looked at Lu Ligan and said to him seriously, "Gangzi, have you ever thought about it? Whether it is the Hangzhou Center or the Sky City, they are not that urgent for us. These two projects, even if we continue, it is still too early to leave the market, and it cannot bring us immediate benefits. There will be no harm if we stop for a year. What we want to protect now is the Peach Blossom Spring and Meeshi River projects, especially the Meeshi River, which can bring us direct benefits. According to Ms. CAI's current situation, by the end of the year, we will propose Kunpeng Company. They will definitely have no objection to a dividend distribution. Even if we cannot repay all the 500 million loan, we can still repay part of it. For us, this will reduce our expenses by tens of millions a year. Do you dare to use the money lying in your account to repay the loan now?" Lu Ligan was speechless when asked by Tan Shahen. It is true that under the current circumstances, the annual interest on this loan is a great pressure for them, but they must take the money on the account to repay the loan. Lu Ligan didn't even dare to take out a loan, as that would only bring greater pressure. Cash was king, and the more difficult the situation, the more cash he needed to have on hand. Using the dividends from the Meeshi project to repay this loan is indeed the best source. Moreover, the Meeshi River project is now a barometer for us. When will the situation improve, when will the purchasing power increase, and when will our Hangzhou Center and Sky City be able to resume work? The Meeshi River project, they will tell us, Tan Shahen and Lu Ligan said. "Pol, listen to Zhenzhen, Zhenzhen is right, stop in the center of Hangzhou first." Old Tan said on the side. Lu Ligan thought about it, and what Tan Shahen said was indeed correct. Moreover, he knew in his heart that once Tan Shahen had this idea, the center of Hangzhou would have to stop. This woman, she won't give up until she achieves her goal, unless you fall out with her. But does Lu Ligan dare to fall out with her? Lu Ligan stopped quietly in the center of Hangzhou. Tan Shahen took a long breath. Now, the only thing that makes her feel relieved is that the second phase of their Peach Blossom Spring is still in operation. People will come to see it every few days, and it can still be sold after 10 days and a half. 1 or 2 buildings fell. Tan Shahen understood that even if there is a knife from the sky, there will always be someone who can avoid it. The ability of rich people to hide are better than that of ordinary people. Thank you Qian Dad for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the reading and votes. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 962. The center of Hangzhou stopped. Lu Ligan rarely even went to Zhang Chen's place. It wasn't because he didn't want to go to Zhang Chen's place to brag, but because he didn't want to pass by the center of Hangzhou. As long as he goes to Zhang Chen, he will definitely see the center of Hangzhou. Even if he does not go from the direction of Woolen Square from Stadium Road or Huancheng North Road, but goes around to the other side, he will still see Hangzhou. In the center of the city, he parked his car and walked on the stairs to Zhang Chen's upstairs. Through the windows on the side, he could see the center of Hangzhou. As soon as you come out of Zhang Chen's office, you are still in the garden on the second floor. Before you reach the stairs, you can see the center of Hangzhou again. On one side of the center of Hangzhou is the dynamic zone. There is no wall between them. What kind of wall is needed between my own project and Zhang Chen's site? Walls were built on the other 3 sides, and outside the wall was a circle of tall billboards. On the billboards, there were advertisements for head_U0026 shoulders, Olay, Youth Treasure, Nike, Apple Jeans, Shan suits, and Wahaha. Indispensable on every side, and also the largest in area, is the rendering of the center of Hangzhou. In the past, whenever Lu Ligan saw these billboards from a distance during the day, he would get excited, just like a person who traveled far away and saw his relatives when he came back. At night, he saw these billboards from a distance. A ray of light will also make you excited and make you feel like you are home. Really, when he saw the center of Hangzhou, he felt more at home than when he saw his own company. It seemed that this was his destination. As the car approached, the sounds of mixers, winches, and dump trucks could be heard one after another behind the billboard. At night, workers could still be heard in the pit and outside the pit. They were shouting the conversation, but the distance was so far that it was impossible for them to hear what the other party was saying without shouting. As soon as Lu Ligan heard these sounds, he sat in the driver's seat and straightened his back subconsciously. When he parked the car and opened the door, the sounds suddenly became louder and came towards him. When Lu Ligan got out of the car, unconsciously, my chest puffed up. Now, it is quiet behind the billboard. When Lu Lipol approaches, he no longer feels like going home, but like walking into a cemetery. Only death would stay in such a quiet place. When Lu Ligan was in Haikan, during that period of time, Lu Ligan would go to the construction site of Jinghai Center alone at night, climb up, and sit on the beam beside which even the scaffolding had been removed, with his feet hanging outside. What he heard was this deathly silence, and he felt that the god of death stayed in such a place of deathly silence. "Come out, if you feel like it, come out and push me down," Lu Ligan would scream into the surrounding darkness. You stand in an empty playground, or sit in a valley, and there is silence all around. That silence is not deathly silence, because it should be so silent. It's different here. It's 24 hours a day here. Every minute and every second is filled with all kinds of noises. There's almost a loud bang here. Even if there's no loud noise, there's a loud bang here. Bang 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 bang, okay, okay, up up up, down down down. There are 8 winches, 12 mixers, and more than 200 workers working in 2 shifts. Where can there be a minute of silence here? But now everything is silent, and all sounds have disappeared. When the bustle and noise have died, this kind of silence is deathly silence. The god of death likes to stay in such a place. The god of death did not kill Lu Ligan, but he killed his dream of building the tallest building in Haikan. Now, is he going to kill his dream of building the tallest building in Hangzhou? Lu Ligan didn't know. Lu Ligan was afraid of this kind of silence. Therefore, Lu Ligan rarely came to Zhang Chen's place. More often than not, they met at the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery in Gentian Power Plant, or at the place of Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han Dynasty, or at night, they made an appointment to have dinner somewhere and went directly there. Zhang Chen seemed to know why Lu Ligan was not in his office now, but he didn't ask anything. The two of them were like this. They knew many things without asking, and there was no need to say too much. Zhang Chen didn't even ask why Hangcheng Center stopped. Lu Ligan knew that Tan Shahen must have called and told Zhang Chen why Hangcheng Center stopped. Tan Shahen would definitely tell her. Tan Shahen and Zhang Chen seemed to have something to say. Even when they were in the troupe and she was still in love with Lu Ligan, if something happened, the first thing she thought of was to ask Zhang Chen. Sometimes Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen were talking about something in the room. As they were talking, Tan Shahen would suddenly stand up and say, "I'll ask Zhang Chen," and then walk out. Lu Ligan had to stand up and follow. Tan Shahen must have told Zhang Chen about Hangcheng Center, so Zhang Chen did not ask him. Zhang Chen must also support Hangcheng Center to stop. Otherwise, he would directly tell Tan Shahen that Hangcheng Center cannot stop. Lu Ligan said as long as Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen talk about things that don't make sense, they can make sense. That's how they are. Zhang Chen did not tell Lu Ligan about the Hangcheng Center, and Tan Shahen did not tell him about resuming work at the Hangcheng Center. This shows that Zhang Chen supports the suspension of work, and Lao Tan also supports it. They all support the suspension of Hang Cheng Center, and Lu Ligan he knew they were right, but there was nothing he could do, and he felt sad. Even if it is the right decision, Lu Ligan will still feel sad about this decision. Lu Chengcheng called Lu Ligan and asked him why Hang Cheng Center stopped. Is there a problem with the capital chain? Lu Ligan quickly said no. Xiao Lu, if we have anything to say, we can talk directly. If there is a problem with the capital chain, I will help you coordinate with the bank. It's not a matter of funds. Leader, really, I still have funds in my account. It's the situation that makes me afraid to move. Now the sales of the Mishai project are not even half of the original ones. I understand, we also have a headache with this problem. The situation is really not optimistic. It's okay if it's not a problem with the capital chain. Many of them are due to insufficient capital turnover. There is no problem with my funds. Thank you for your concern. Well, Xiao Lu, as you know, the province and city are paying attention to this project. If it stays for too long, it won't look good. Okay, I understand, leader. After hanging up the phone, Lu Ligan wanted to scold, am I still responsible for your good looks? If the house is built and left empty, will you be responsible for me? Lu Ligan wanted to scold, but the other party was Lu Chengcheng, so Lu Ligan felt that he could not curse. Lu Ligan still admires Lu Chengcheng. He seems to just want to do things and do good things. Whether he is helping Lu Ligan or Zhang Chen, sometimes he will help without any principles. For example, I will help you coordinate with the bank. For a while, he would say something that was not in line with his status, and he would actually do it. But he has a principle that he holds firmly, that is, he will never eat a meal from them, charge them a cigarette, let alone a penny from them. At most, when they are together, you will hand him a cigarette. He can smoke cigarettes. Lu Ligan admired this very much. Lu Ligan knew how Meng Ping ran the company, both in Haikan and now, including the few times he did it himself. He felt that there were really not many cotters like Lu Chengcheng. He had to admire. Lu Chengcheng may be like this, he has an open heart. Sometimes he helps people or companies, but even if he helps a little too much, he himself feels that he has a clear conscience. Tan Shahen walked into Lu Ligan's office and saw Lu Ligan slumped on the sofa with a listless look. She felt funny in her heart. This childish ghost was naive when he was in his 20s, but now he is in his 30s. Still so childish, all the unhappiness is written on his face. After stopping in the center of Hangzhou, everyone in the company felt that Lu Lizan seemed to be depressed, as if he had lost his soul all day long. Lao Tan came to ask Tan Shahen, and Tan Shahen said it was fine. As long as the mixer in the center of Hangzhou rang, his energy immediately came back. Lao Tan understood and laughed. There's nothing going on now, it's better to be still than to move, so just let him be. Tan Shahen and Lao Tan said. Lao Tan nodded and said yes, no matter what you do now, it's just a fool's errand. No matter how tough you are, you can't defeat the general trend. When he reached the door, Lao Tan turned around and said to Tan Shahen, Zhen Zhen, it's lucky that you are here at this time, otherwise, no one can pull this cow. Tan Shahen quickly said thank you, brother. Tan Shahen came over, but Lu Ligan was still slumped there, without moving, looking at Tan Shahen. Tan Shahen kicked his straight legs and cursed, sit down, sit down. Lu Li moved his body and sat upright. Tan Shahen said, your current mental state is not right. What's wrong with me? Lu Ligan said, I have nothing to do all day now, and I can't even sit on the sofa. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your mental state is not right. Can't you understand? Tan Shahen scolded, you are the boss, and your behavior will affect morale. The more this time comes, the more we need someone to encourage everyone's morale. Didn't you encourage morale? Lou Ligon laughed playfully. I remembered that there used to be a general like this when he was commanding the battle. He was lying there when someone came in and reported that the enemy was attacking. He lazily said, if the attack comes, then fight it down. The people below also said that every time when the battle is the most tense, seeing the general like this makes him feel relieved. Are you imitating that general? What kind of warring state story is this? No, it was during the fight against the Kuomintang reactionaries. Tan Shahen kicked him again and said to him, okay, General, I think you should find a place to relax. If you are like this, you will actually feel uncomfortable, and everyone will feel even more uncomfortable when they see it. Do you understand? Is it true that when I leave, you will lose sight of me? Lou Ligon asked. Tan Shahen nodded. Yes, that's right, there is nothing big going on in the company now anyway. Lou Ligon remembered it and said, okay, then I will go to Nanjing to see how Lao Meng is doing. Don't call Zhang Chen, I'll ask the driver to take you there. Why, why not call him Zhang Chen? Zhang Chen is annoying enough, but you think it's just us? Tan Shahen said. Lou Ligon shouted, what happened to him? This guy didn't tell me. Zhang Chen is the kind of person who cries and goes to his mother when something happens. Tan Shahen scolded. I also heard from Xiao Zhao that their business is worse than in previous years, the inventory is huge, and the operators in the dynamic zone below they are clamoring for a rent reduction. There is such a thing. You can't help. If Zhang Chen doesn't say anything, just pretend you don't know. Do you hear me? Tan Shahen asked. Okay, I understand. Lou Lepole stood up. I'd better go see Lao Meng who is suffering. Let my driver take you there. No, Lou Lepole waved his hand and walked out. Drive slower and be careful on the road. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you UN11 and Jo Suihua. Why can't you change your name? Your monthly pass is so frivolous. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 963. Lou Ligon drove his Sayabao on the road and drove to Huzhu in the evening, thinking of staying in Huzhu for one night and going to Tehu Lake tomorrow. I found a hotel to stay at, walked out of the hotel door alone, found a restaurant on the street in front of the hotel, and ordered a fried shrimp, a soy sauce lamb, and a steamed fish. I was looking for a spicy dish. I looked through the menu and couldn't find it, so I forgot about it and ordered 2 bottles of beer. After finishing the wine, the dishes were barely touched. After walking along the street for a while, I was covered in stinky sweat. I returned to the hotel and took a shower, but suddenly I didn't want to stay here anymore. I checked out of the room and continued driving to Nanjing. We drove to Nanjing until midnight and drove directly to the Jinling Hotel. When we saw that the building opposite Mengping was already higher than the Jinling Hotel, the lights were on at the construction site and it seemed that there were still people working the night shift. Lou Ligon let out a sigh of relief. I felt a little comfort in my heart. After parking the car, he did not go to the lobby to register, but walked out from the gate. Mengping's company was right next to the Jinling Hotel. It rented several large houses facing the street. The sales office was with the company. Although he knew that no one could be there at this time, Lou Ligon still walked over to take a look and saw that it was dark there, and then returned to the Jinling Hotel. When I entered the room, I felt like I was covered in stinky sweat. I turned on the air conditioner, took off my clothes and pants on the carpet, walked into the bathroom, lay down in the bathtub, and turned on the faucet with my feet, but I was already asleep. When I woke up, I found that the faucet in the bathtub was still gurgling with water, but the bathtub was empty. It turned out that the plug in the bathtub was not plugged. I don't know how long I slept this time. Whatever, I took a shower first. After the shower, I wiped my body with a towel and went out. Looking at the time, it was only about 2 o'clock in the morning, but I was already hungry. Lu Ligan then called Meng Ping. Once the call came through, Meng Ping asked where he was, and Lu Ligan said he was in Nanjing. In Nanjing? When did you arrive? Meng Ping asked. Arrived a long time ago. Why are you calling me now when you've arrived early and taking me with you? Pinyu, I fell asleep alone in the Jinling Hotel and woke up hungry. Meng Ping laughed, I just got home from a midnight snack. Okay, wait. Lu Ligan went to the lobby downstairs and waited. After a while, the Big Brother phone rang. He was about to answer it when he saw Meng Ping walking in from outside with the Big Brother phone raised in one hand. When Lu Ligan saw him, Meng Ping also saw him and stood there. Lu Ligan stood up and walked over. Meng Ping asked, why did it happen so suddenly? The couple had a quarrel. The two couples Meng Ping was talking about were him and Tan Shahen. Behind his back, Meng Ping called Lu Ligan's company a wife's shop, saying that Lu Ligan should have been sidelined in the company now, and the real power was in Tan Shahen's hands. In a typical mom and pop shop, the wife must have the final say. Noisy, I want to attack you suddenly and see how embarrassed you are, can't I? Lu Ligan asked. Meng Ping laughed and said, okay, I was a little embarrassed a few days ago, but I'm fine now. Everyone is sad anyway, and I'm not the only one. Let him go. By the way, what do you want to eat? It tastes so strong that a bird comes out of your mouth. Eat shit directly, or burn your large intestine with stinky tofu. Lu Ligan glared at him, pointed to the brightly lit hotel lobby, and said, if you squat here and poop, I will eat. Meng Ping said forget it, mine is more valuable, so let's eat pigs. Walking out of the revolving door in the hotel lobby, Lu Ligan asked, is there anyone still working on the construction site? I don't know, but the construction company's business has not stopped anyway. Their boss has promised me that even if they don't have money, they will help me build the building to the top, Meng Ping said. Lu Ligan was startled, are you already in such a miserable state? It's not that bad, let's get a vaccination first, Meng Ping said, I know this kind of thing. I can't be like in Heiken, where I can't just worry about it when it comes. I'm dealing with the crisis in advance. I'm looking for you. A leader, if you make this guy promise in front of the leader, he won't be able to escape. By the way, how are you doing there? It has stopped, Lu Ligan said. Meng Ping looked at him and said, no wonder you ran out to relax. Lu Ligan shouted, no, Lao Meng, how did you know that I came out to relax? Meng Ping smiled, that face of yours is a face that wants to relax. Walking down the steps at the door, he didn't see Meng Ping's car. Lu Ligan asked, where is your car? I pawned it, otherwise I wouldn't have the money to treat you to a midnight snack. Meng Ping laughed after saying, I came by taxi. It's easy to get a taxi in the middle of the night, so you don't have to drive. The hotel they visited last time on Hungui Road was still open. Lu Ligan was overjoyed and ordered stinky tofu, roasted large intestine and stinky mandarin fish. He told Lao Meng that the rest was optional. Meng Ping ordered 4 more Yangcheng Lake hairy crabs and a portion of salted edamame. The two of them drank and chatted. The situation in Nanjing was similar to that in Hangzhou. Sales at Meng Ping's sales office also plummeted. Fortunately, Meng Ping still had help from above. Directly helped Meng Ping call a few bosses from the cities and counties below, and the boss directly named companies from their cities and counties to come and buy a few floors. No matter how depressed the economy becomes, there will always be a few units in every place that can still live a comfortable life. That's why Meng Ping can say that he is not so embarrassed now and is ready to live a hard life with everyone. Next, Meng Ping plans to use money from a local bank in Nanjing to replace Mr. Yang's loan. The bank in Nanjing promised him that the interest rate would be reduced by 10%, while Mr. Yang's loan would be increased by 10%. 10. Come and go, you can save 20% of the interest, which is not a small amount of money. Old Chiao is panicking now, Meng Ping said. Old Chiao said that this loan is now the best loan for Mr. Yang and others. He went to do the work and directly asked Mr. Yang and others to float 10%, the deadline I gave him is until the end of this month. If it doesn't work, I will definitely change it next month. By the way, Pol, you Taiwanese guy can also replace that pen, Meng Ping said. Lu Ligan shook his head. He said it didn't exist. My loan was discounted by 10% at that time. Besides, it was a partner, which was different from yours. I could repay the loan in advance, but I couldn't. Replacement, otherwise it won't make sense. Meng Ping nodded and said, that's right. Besides, if one of us on both sides stabbed Lao Chiao wouldn't be able to bear it. Next, if the situation doesn't improve, I won't be able to recruit any more people. I can only ask the construction company to support me. Anyway, they are state-owned enterprises and have money. Meng Ping said, seeing Lu Ligan staring blankly at the crabs on the plate. Meng Ping smiled and said, what are you looking at? Do you feel the same way about it now and feel that you can't do it anymore? I'm thinking, there is a way, Lu Ligan said without thinking. What can be done? Meng Ping asked. Lao Meng, there is actually a way to deal with your money, Mr. Yang, Lu Ligan said. Any solution? You can replace this loan, and Mr. Yang and the others don't need to reduce their loan by 10%. Now that they are already having a hard time, they are even more sad when they suddenly lose 20% of their interest income. Speak clearly, tell me clearly, Pol, what do you mean? Meng Ping asked. In this way, Lao Meng, you use the money from the Bank of Nanjing to replace the money of Mr. Yang and others. Then, with this money, Mr. Chiao and the others can continue to make mortgages. The interest rate will still increase by 10%. For those who want to buy a house, what does it matter if the loan is increased by 10%? If they go to the bank to get a loan of tens of millions, others will also raise the loan by 10%. They don't care. Meng Ping's eyes lit up and he shouted, really, this is really a good idea. Wait, I'll call Lao Chiao. There's something wrong with you. What time is it now? Lu Ligan scolded. What does it matter? If he answers my call, he can sleep better, Meng Ping shouted. After Meng Ping finished speaking, he stood up and walked to make a phone call. Lu Ligan thought to himself, why can Meng Ping do this but not himself? You can also repay the money from Miss Cai and the others, and then ask Miss Cai to put the money into the Miss Hai project in the name of a mortgage loan. Miss Cai does not need to increase the amount by 10%, just based on the benchmark. If she lends it at an interest rate, she can earn 10% more interest. Lu Ligan immediately wanted to call Tan Shahen, but he pressed a few numbers but stopped. He remembered that if he wanted to repay the money now, he would have to use the money in his own account. In this way, the mortgage for the Meisi River project could be he continued to work, but the money in his account was gone. The money was transferred to the account of Kunpeng Company, and he could not touch it. Lu Ligan sighed and put his elder brother down. He reached out and moved the plate of smelly mandarin fish on the table in front of him, picked up the chopsticks and ate with concentration. When he had almost finished every fish, Meng Ping walked back. Meng Ping excitedly told Lu Ligan that it should be possible. I called Lao Chiao's big brother. Lao Chiao immediately used the landline and called Mr. Yang. We started a conference call. Mr. Yang also thought that this plan was feasible. He will submit this plan tomorrow. Meng Ping looked at Lu Ligan and asked, Gangzi, can't you do the same with the Taiwanese loan? Lu Ligan shook his head and said no. Meng Ping asked curiously, why? I'm different from you. Lu Ligan then told Meng Ping about his situation. Meng Ping looked at Lu Ligan and shook his head while laughing. Lu Ligan stopped and cursed. What the hell are you laughing at? Gangzi, did you eat pig shit or is your head full of shit? Meng Ping said with a smile. Anyway, what I see now is the stupidest person in Nanjing. Lu Ligan looked at Meng Ping and wondered, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Meng Ping said, what's the difference between your loan and mine? You made a loan of 500 million in the bank in Hangzhou, and used the money to pay back the Taiwanese. The Taiwanese then give this money to Lao Chiao and ask him to take out the mortgage on your Mies Hai He, and you can start selling Mies Hai He. Isn't your loan the same as now, still 500 million? Isn't it 1 penny more? In this way, will there be 1 penny less on your account? Lu Ligan's eyes lit up. Yeah, isn't it like that? Damn it, I was really dumbfounded by the smelly mandarin fish. Lu Ligan stood up with a smile, walked aside, and called Tan Shahen. Meng Ping was in a good mood and felt that his appetite had whetted his appetite again. He took a hairy crab and ate it with relish. Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you to book friends 201811241834235518, Bai, Shi Fangxian, and Li Yuguang 1880-244-7131 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy mood. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 964. Lu Ligan walked outside to the road, called Tan Shahen's big brother, and told her, go to the office immediately, and then use the landline to call Ying Ying's big brother, and we will have a conference call. Nervous, what time is it now? Have you drunk too much? Tan Shahen cursed in a daze. No, Lao Meng and I haven't started drinking yet. We thought of a way to continue the mortgage, Lu Ligan said. Okay, then I'll call you when I get to the office. As soon as Tan Shahen heard that the mortgage could continue, she immediately sobered up and shouted. Lu Ligan hung up the phone and did not walk back. Instead, he walked up and down the road. After a while, his big brother rang. It was Tan Shahen. At the same time, Tan Shahen also called Ying Ying. Lu Ligan saw a step on the side of the road and sat down on the step. He told the two of them the method he had just talked with Lao Meng. The two of them became excited when they heard it and thought it was a good idea. Method. Lu Ligan asked Ying Ying, if the mortgage can continue, will the sales of Mies Hai He increase? Ying Ying said, I can't guarantee that it can return to the original level, but it can definitely be greatly improved. I guarantee that the 500 million quota can be used up. Okay, that's it, Lu Ligan said, let's find a bank here first. If the bank has this intention, I will contact Miss CAI. I think the problem with Miss CAI will not be big. The same amount of money, if she moves it, she can earn 10% more interest rate difference, and she can also increase the sales of the Mies Hai He project. She will definitely do it. For such a large amount of 500 million, the branch cannot do it at all. It needs to be done by the branch, and the branch does not have such great authority. It has to be reported to the head office, but the reporting is just a formality. If the branch wants to do it, it can still be done, Tan Shahen said. This way, I will go directly to President Wang of ICBC tomorrow. What, do you know President Wang? Lu Ligan shouted. Lu Ligan didn't have much dealings with local banks. Most of his business dealings were at the branch level. He didn't need to go directly to the branch president level. Lu Ligan was planning to ask Lu Chengcheng to help him with the bank. During the communication, Tan Shahen unexpectedly said that she could go directly to President Wang of ICBC in Hangzhou City. Nonsense, it goes without saying. Tan Shahen scolded, and Lu Ligan remembered it and smiled. Tan Shahen herself came from ICBC. When she was at ICBC, she was a celebrity of ICBC. If anyone in the system didn't know her, of course she would know the Hangchang branch. President, however, that matter. Zhen, isn't this difficult? Lu Ligan asked. What's the problem? I'm going to talk about work. Wait for my call tomorrow, Tan Shahan said and hung up the phone. When Lu Ligan walked back, Meng Ping asked, Why? I asked your wife for permission. What did your wife say? Lu Ligan smiled and said, Of course it is possible. She will go out in person tomorrow to find the president of ICBC Hangchang branch. Meng Ping nodded and said, This wife is not bad. If you want to lift the pole, just lift it up. Lu Ligan sat down and found that Meng Ping ordered another piece of smelly mandarin fish and 4 Yangchang Lake hairy crabs. He had killed the original 4. Lu Ligan cursed. Didn't you say you had already had supper? Is this a robber coming down the mountain? Meng Ping looked at him and smiled and said, Don't you know that people are in high spirits during happy events? Come on, this fish is a pair with the one in your belly. Please help them and bury them together. The next day, when Lu Ligan returned to bed, his cell phone rang. It was Tan Shahan. Lu Ligan looked at the time and saw that it was only about 10 o'clock. Tan Shahan told him that she had just come out of President Wang's office. I contacted President Wang. President Wang was going to the provincial bank for a meeting, so he asked me to come over in the morning. How is it? Lu Ligan asked. The main thing is that our Hangzhou City Center and Sky City have just started. The Meisi River project is a joint venture. We can't make the decision. Lu Ligan said anxiously, but our actual investment in Hangzhou City Center and the Sky City is more than 500 million. What are you in a hurry? Listen to me. Of course I have told President Wang all this. President Wang also said that he knows all this. If he had this authority, he would definitely agree without saying a word. This number should still be reported to the head office. Risk control at the head office is something that only depends on words. We always have to have something that is practical and persuasive. No, we have everything here. He likes to borrow money, Lu Ligan said. What's wrong with you? Are you asking people to help you with loans, or are you giving charity? Tan Shahan scolded. President Wang said, if it is within his authority, we want 50 million to 60 million, for a company like ours, he would release it immediately. If it is 500 million, he would personally prefer to release it, but the head office would definitely ask for additional guarantee measures. What kind of guarantee measures? Can I mortgage the land to them? What are you thinking? The land has to be given to them. If it weren't for the mortgage loan, which bank would give you 500 million for the credit loan? Are you the king of heaven? Tan Shahan said angrily. President Wang means that another for additional guarantee measures. He proposed to ask Kunpeng Construction for guarantee. No, Lu Ligan said. I also told President Wang that it was not possible. After checking it, President Wang also thought it was not possible. The major shareholder of Kunpeng Construction is Shenzhen Angxin, and Shenzhen Angxin is a financial institution. How can a financial institution guarantee a company? It definitely doesn't make sense with Angxin. Tan Shahan said, President Wang proposed to either at Zhongchen's guarantee. Zhongchen has several hundred million in cash deposits in their bank, an asset as big as the M-Zone, and not even a penny of loans to his name. Such a company is very difficult. To be convincing, President Wang said that he can go to the head office to do work. Zhongchen does not need to use the M-Zone mortgage as a guarantee, as long as he provides credit. No, Lu Ligan said. What did you say? Tan Shahan asked. I said no, Lu Ligan said, it's not okay to ask Zhongchen to guarantee it. I have already made an agreement with him. Tan Shahan understood, and after a moment of silence, she said, Pol, how about we take 50 million first, and Miss CAI and the others can reduce it by 50 million. Forget it, Wait until I get back. After Lu Ligan finished speaking, he hung up the phone. He felt that there was no need to talk about 50 million. If we replace it with 50 million, it would only be a 10% interest rate difference. For such a small profit, all the procedures Mr. Chiao would be very annoyed if he had to start over. He would not make this call to Miss Cai. He couldn't say it out loud. After hanging up the phone, Lu Ligan lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling above his head, in a daze, feeling a little depressed. Such a good idea, but unfortunately there is no way to implement it. If this can be implemented, his Hangzhou center can also gong again, he can take back the center of Hangzhou from the hands of death. 9 times out of 10 things go wrong in life, but there are no two people who can talk to others. He could talk to Meng Ping about these things, but Meng Ping was beyond his reach and couldn't help. He could talk to Lu Changcheng, but the bank is independent after all. Lu Changcheng can help him communicate, but the possibility is slim. His relationship with Lu Changcheng is not the relationship between Meng Ping and his superiors. Zhang Chen can help him, but the last thing he can say is him. If he tells Zhang Chen about this, Lu Ligan can imagine it. Zhang Chen will definitely say, "Okay, then I will guarantee it for you." All right. Last time they were in Nanjing, they took so much trouble to get Zhang Chen to avoid vouching for Meng Ping, and now they asked him to vouch for them. Is this something I, Lu Ligan, can do? The doorbell ding dong rang. You knew without asking that it must be Meng Ping. Lu Ligan got up from the bed and went to open the door. As soon as the door opened, he quickly shouted, "Wait a minute." He saw Qianfang walking in front of Meng Ping and ringing the doorbell, while Lu Ligan was only wearing a pair of underwear. Qianfang cursed, "Wait a minute, I won't care if you get naked." With a push, Lu Ligan was pushed aside and walked in. Meng Ping followed behind and laughed. Lu Ligan scolded, "Qianfang, are you too arrogant?" Qianfang threw the jeans that Lu Ligan had taken off on the sofa, sat down on the sofa, and asked, "Gangzi, how are the sales of your peach blossom spring?" "It's not bad," Lu Ligan said, "it's still moving. If it takes 10.5 months, 1 or 2 buildings can be sold." "Is this okay?" Qianfang shouted, "We sell 1 house every 2 or 3 days, and I'm dying of anxiety." Lu Ligan looked at her and cursed, "You are not only arrogant, but also greedy. In such an economic environment, you can sell 1 house in 2 or 3 days. Are you still not satisfied? Why are you satisfied? I have to sell 2.5 houses to buy 1 of yours. I'm not the same as you," Qianfang scolded. "Okay, you are unreasonable. I can't talk to you anymore." Lu Lipol waved his hands and said, "Lao Meng, how are you doing here?" "It's going well," Meng Ping chuckled. "Mr. Yang has already had a phone call with their chairman early in the morning. The chairman has agreed in principle. A formal resolution should be issued in the afternoon." Lu Ligan nodded and said, "That's good. Where are you?" "Is there any news about your noble wife?" Meng Ping asked. "I have no chance here." Lu Ligan told the two of them the contents of Tan Shahan's previous phone call. Meng Ping sighed and said, "This bank manager is not being careless. He is not trying to deal with it. What he said is still right. You and I are really different." "What's different?" Lu Ligan scolded. "My building has more floor space than yours. I just don't have the powerful people behind you." "That's not the problem, the difference is huge," Meng Ping said. "No matter how tall your building is, it is still a trap. Mine has already risen. From every angle, it is already the tallest building in Nanjing. Your building has mine. Is it convincing?" Lu Ligan was speechless. If he said that, it was true. "Although this is a project under construction, I haven't sold an inch of the podium below. Based on the evaluation of this part, the price is not low. There is nothing the bank dares not do. Besides, the construction company will agree. Give up their rights, Meng Ping said. You, a construction company, support you so much. What's wrong with them? I don't owe them a penny. Even if I owe them, they still have to stand up, Meng Ping shouted. Okay, you're awesome, I'm willing to give you the upper hand, Lu Ligan said. Let's go down to eat, I'm starving, Jian Fang shouted from the side. Thank you Wu Yehuan for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 965. In the afternoon, Mr. Yang called Meng Ping and told him that their bank had agreed to do what Meng Ping said. After Meng Ping repaid the loan in advance, they would still entrust Mr. Chiao and the others to use the money as a mortgage loan form, directed to his project. Mr. Yang hung up the phone, and Mr. Chiao called Meng Ping again and told him, Mr. Meng, just do what we agreed last night. Without further ado, please contact your bank as soon as possible. Lu Ligan finished lunch with Meng Ping and Jian Fang, returned to his room, and slept again. When he woke up, it was almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He went downstairs and walked out of the Jinling Hotel. He originally wanted to go to Meng Ping's company. Looked at the building opposite them, and walked towards the opposite side. Lu Ligan walked to the door of the construction site. The person in the construction site communication room saw him and shouted, Hey, what are you doing? Lu Li said without looking back, It's for inspection, and walked inside. When the people in the communication room heard that it was for inspection, they didn't know what department they were in, so they didn't dare to stop him at that time. Lu Ligan walked into the building, found a staircase, and walked up, stopping and walking. On the stairs, workers were going up and down, and no one paid attention to him. Indeed, there are too many different engineering teams at a construction site. In addition to civil engineering, there are also those who install air conditioning pipes, gas and water pipes, strong and weak electricity, install elevator shafts, and fire protection systems. Who knows you? It's that part. Lu Ligan climbed all the way to the top floor, and as he climbed up one floor after another, he found that the house had reached 31 floors. On the top floor, while the frame was being poured on one side, Lu Ligan walked to the other side and stood here looking down. He had a panoramic view of the entire Nanjing, including the roof of the Jinling Hotel. He could see it as far as he could see. Purple Mountain in the distance. Lu Ligan felt that the feeling of having a panoramic view was really good. If he stood upstairs in the center of Hangzhou, the feeling would be even stronger. Standing upstairs in the center of Hangzhou, he could take in the entire West Lake. Under the eyes, the clear water is beautiful, and the mountain scenery is also strange when it is empty and rainy. It is really suitable to wear heavy makeup and light makeup, and it is beautiful. Lu Ligan felt that if he stood on the rooftop in the center of Hangzhou, he would never tire of watching it. Unfortunately, he could only stand on Zhang Chen's roof garden and look at the big pit next door. Now, Lianda, you can't even see the pit. Looking at the big silent pit will only make you feel despondent. After the project stopped, it rained twice. Lu Ligan thought that the huge pit was probably half full of water, which could be used to raise fish. Lu Ligan took out a cigarette and lit it. While smoking, he looked at Meng Ping's Nanjing. Standing on the roof of such a building, Lu Ligan felt that looking out from here, the current Nanjing was Meng Ping's. Nanjing, if you look out from the center of Hangzhou, the Hangzhou you overlook is my Lu Ligan's Hangzhou and my Lu Ligan's West Lake. Hey, what do you do? There was a voice from behind. Lu Ligan turned around and saw two people standing behind him. One was from the communication room, and a middle-aged man wearing a safety helmet, who was probably the person in charge of the construction site. The two people came up. I climbed the stairs too quickly and I was out of breath. Lu Ligan originally wanted to say, I am Mr. Meng's friend, but after thinking about it, he didn't say it. Instead, he smiled at them and said, "If you don't want to do anything, I will just climb up and take a look." The middle-aged man stood there, not daring to get close. Both of their faces were very nervous. The middle-aged man waved to him and said, "Brother, come here first." "What for?" Luligan asked. "If you have any questions, you can talk to me." "Brother, I am a few years older than you and have more life experience than you. If you have anything you can't think of, you can talk to me or talk to others." This my heart felt relieved. As the middle-aged man spoke, the person in the communication room kept nodding to the side and said to Luligan, "This is our manager Zhao. He knows a lot, you have a chat with him." Luligan suddenly realized why they were so nervous. Luligan laughed, "Why, I seem to be such a troubled person." Come here, it's too dangerous over there," Manager Zhao said. Luligan walked over, and both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Luligan said, "Manager Zhao, you misunderstood. I just came up to take a look." "Okay," Manager Zhao said, "are you optimistic about it now?" "If you hadn't come, I would have taken a closer look." "If you came, I would have taken a closer look," Luligan said. "Brother, let's go down if you like it, okay?" As he spoke, Manager Zhao put his arm around Luligan's shoulders, took him all the way to the bottom of the building, and sent him out of the door. Luligan heard him behind him and scolded the person in the reception room. "Open his eyes wider, if you really want to. If something goes wrong, we won't be able to eat and walk around. He said he was here for inspection, how dare I stop him?" the person in the reception room said aggrievedly. Luligan shook his head and smiled. Luligan walked to Meng Ping's company and entered Meng Ping's office. Li Yang was also here. When he saw Luligan, Meng Ping shouted, "Gangzi, Lao Chiao and Mr. Yang have taken care of it here." After calling, he remembered that Luligan hadn't finished it yet. It seemed inappropriate for him to be so excited. He looked at Luligan and smiled. Luligan smiled and said, "Great, your problem here can finally be solved." Meng Ping looked at Luligan and knew that he must be feeling very uncomfortable at this time. Meng Ping and Li Yang said that after dinner, you can arrange some exciting activities. Li Yang nodded and said, "I'll do it right away." "What kind of person does Mr. Lu like?" "What type?" Luligan asked. Then he understood what Li Yang meant and quickly shook his head, "No, no." Meng Ping shouted, "In addition, after the Pole got a wife, the lower part was legated." Li Yang laughed and asked, "What noble wife?" "It's just a mom and pop shop, but the wife is very expensive. The Pole has given the entire company to her, and she hasn't been moved yet." "Do you think it's expensive?" Meng Ping asked. "Expensive," diamond-encrusted Li Yang laughed and stood up, took the big brother and walked out. After a while, he came back and whispered in Meng Ping's ear. Meng Ping nodded and said, "Okay, that's it." The three of them had dinner together. Li Yang drove the car and took the two of them past the Confucius Temple, and continued to drive forward. When they reached Rujin New Village, they turned right and passed through Yuiao Lake Park, approaching Nanjing Agricultural University. Turn left and drive all the way to the foot of Zijin Mountain. Luligan saw that Li Yang had no intention of stopping, but continued along a winding mountain road. There was a road sign indicating that this was the way to Wenwu Square Gate. The car lights pierced the darkness in front of him, and the lights where the light shines, there are dense woods on both sides, and where the light does not shine, there is complete darkness. Luligan shouted, "Li Yang, where are you going? It's so dark. What are you doing here?" Before Li Yang could say anything, Meng Ping shouted, "Zhangzi, I can tell you now, you have been kidnapped by us. Please ask your wife to prepare a ransom, otherwise we will break up the vote." "Get out," Luligan cursed, and Li Yang laughed. The car drove forward for 7 or 8 minutes on the dark winding mountain road. A fork in the road appeared in front of him. Li Yang turned the car left and drove onto the unknown road with no road signs. He drove forward for 5 or 6 minutes. A little light appeared. After driving closer, I found a yard beside the road, which seemed to be a villa or some kind of management office. The light came from here. There was an iron gate in the yard that was closed, and there was no sign on the door. Li Yang honked the horn 3 times, and the small door above the iron gate opened. A young man came out of the door and walked over. Li Yang pressed the window, the young man nodded to him, looked into the car again, walked back to the iron gate, then opened the gate, and Li Yang drove the car in. Lu Ligan saw that there were 4 or 5 cars parked in the yard, as well as several motorcycles. They got out of the car and the young man closed the iron door again. Li Yang took out a travel bag from the trunk, put it on his shoulder, and led them into a lighted room. Inside was a circle of sofas, with 7 or 8 people already sitting here. It can be seen that these people are here for the first time just like them, with curiosity and excitement on their faces. Someone inside knew Li Yang and nodded towards him. Li Yang asked Lu Ligan and Meng Ping to sit on the sofa. There were bottles of mineral water on the coffee table. Li Yang opened one bottle and handed it to Lu Ligan, then opened another bottle and handed it to Meng Ping. They sat there, some of them kept looking at their watches, feeling a little anxious. 7 or 8 minutes later, there were 3 more car horns blaring outside. Lu Ligan heard the iron door clang open, and the car came in, and the iron door clang closed again. Then 3 people came in. The one walking in front was about the same age as Li Yang. He nodded to Li Yang and motioned for the 2 people to sit down. A young man walked in behind them and asked, "Are you all here?" Li Yang talked with the person who just came in, and the person who came in before them and whom Li Yang also knew. The young man opened the cloth bag in his hand, walked around in a circle, and said to everyone, "Please put the BB machine and the Big Brother in." Everyone put their BB machines and mobile phones into the cloth pocket. The young man walked out with the bag. After a while, the young man, another young man, and a guy in his 30s came in. The young man was carrying a suitcase, and the other young man was carrying a bigger suitcase. Suitcase. The leading guy slapped his butt with both hands and shouted, "Okay, let's change the chips first." The young man put the suitcase in his hand on the coffee table and opened the suitcase. Lu Ligan saw that inside was a suitcase of casino chips. He knew what he was doing here and immediately became excited. Everyone opened the bags they had brought. When it was Lu Ligan's turn, Li Yang took out a vest bag from the bag and told the other party, 800,000 yuan is his. Li Yang pointed at Lu Ligan, who looked at the money in the vest bag and handed it to the other young man. The other young man put the money into the suitcase. The young man handed the 800,000 chips to Lu Lirod. Li Yang took out another vest bag, pointed at Meng Ping and said, "His is also 800,000. After the chips were exchanged, the other young man went out with the suitcase containing the money. Then there was the sound of opening and closing the iron door, and the sound of a motorcycle. Lu Ligan knew that the money was taken away from this place. The guy in the lead patted his butt with both hands again, and then said, "There are old friends and new friends today." When he talked about new friends, he looked at Lu Ligan and Meng Ping. He was obviously talking about them. He continued, "I still have to explain something. If something happens in the middle, everyone should remember it. When you go in, you must insist that you are just curious and pretending to have fun. You have not won any money. Don't be stupid. No matter how the other party tries to trick you, just insist that you have not won any money. If no money is found at the scene, everyone will be fine. I guarantee you will be able to come out at dawn. Don't be smart and talk nonsense, do you understand?" The people sitting here sparsely answered that they understood. The guy slapped his butt again and said, "Let's get started." A large group of people followed them out, went to the next door, and opened the door. The next door was a room larger than the one just now. In the room, there was a baccarat table, and a girl, wearing the same clothes as the Macau casino, sat in the dealer's seat. Thank you Wu Yehuan, Wawa Tin Soldier, and RIRI Fansha for your rewards. Thank you Zipanjiang 1, Book Friend 20180720125920875, Li Yingjun, Mei, Yuju, and a bluefish in the book for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I have something to do today, so I'm even late, sorry. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 966. Everyone chose a seat, sat down, and started playing. They played until 12 o'clock. On a table next to them, wine, food and dumplings were placed. I don't know where these things came from. The only wine was beer. Those who wanted to eat could get it themselves. Bowls and chopsticks, sit down and eat. Lu Li was very lucky in the middle of the night and won a lot. Meng Ping lost over 200,000 yuan. Seeing the food and wine on the table, Li Yang and Meng Ping said they wanted to have something to change their luck. Meng Ping stood up from the card table and asked Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan shook his head and said, "You go, I won't eat." Meng Ping and Li Yang walked over there. The two of them sat down and each took a can of Baker beer, open. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan were playing all night. Li Yang was either watching or taking a nap on the sofa. Meng Ping asked him if he wanted to try it. Li Yang shook his head and said, "I don't play this." After Meng Ping and Li Yang finished eating, they walked back. Lu Lipol's poker luck had begun to change. Most of the winnings in the first half of the night were lost. Meng Ping sat down next to him and told him, "Go get something to eat." Lu Ligan was already a little jealous, but he still said he wouldn't eat. Just like the time in Macau, Lu Ligan still played either banker or player, without even switching bets. This kind of play disturbed the attention of people around him and easily made the atmosphere at the poker table tense. When he got up, someone looked at him, shook his head, tossed his cards and went to eat. Lu Ligan didn't eat all night and never stood up after sitting down. By 3 o'clock, he lost all 800,000 yuan. Meng Ping gave him a 100,000 yuan chip. Before 4 o'clock, the two of them we all lost everything, but we still refused to give up. Meng Ping the owner of the casino, the guy who was used to slapping his butt with both hands, said, "Give each of us another 200,000 chips." The boss looked at Li Yang and asked, "Little Pole, do you want a guarantee?" Li Yang nodded and said yes. The boss asked his subordinate Ma Zhe to give Meng Ping and Lu Ligan 200,000 chips each. When they finished losing the 400,000 yuan and it was already done outside, Meng Ping wanted to ask the boss for chips. The boss said that it was almost done for the day and they wanted to continue playing in the evening. We had to withdraw here because they would have to go to work later. Hearing what the boss said, Lu Ligan and Meng Ping had no choice but to give up. Meng Ping asked, "Are we still here tonight? What time is it?" The boss glanced at Li Yang and said, "I will notify Xiao Zanzi of the address in the afternoon." Li Yang drove them to the Jinling Hotel. Meng Ping also asked for a room on Lu Ligan's floor. The two of them entered the room and fell asleep. When they woke up, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Bell. As soon as Lu Ligan woke up, he went to Meng Ping's room and told him, "Hurry up and ask Ma, where are you tonight?" Meng Ping laughed. He said that I called as soon as I woke up and the money was arranged. Otherwise, the bank is almost closed now. Where can I get so much cash? Okay, the one who knows me is Meng Ping, Lu Ligan shouted. During dinner, Lu Ligan and Meng Ping were very anxious and asked Li Yang where he was at night. Li Yang didn't tell them and just told them to eat first as it was still early. The battlefield has been set, how can I still be in the mood to eat? Lu Ligan shouted. Li Yang looked at him and asked, you still know that it is a battlefield, and people will die on the battlefield? Lu Ligan laughed loudly, even if I die, I will kill everyone everywhere. Meng Ping, I wonder what Chen Qiang is doing now. When Lu Ligan said this, Meng Ping also laughed and said, Qiang must still be keeping an eye on the entry records. The two of them talked and laughed, feeling a sense of secret joy. Li Yang sat on the edge, looked at them and shook his head. The scene at night was in the presidential suite of a five-star hotel. There was a baccarat card table in the living room, with many chairs scattered around. People who arrived earlier than them were already sitting there waiting, although everyone I have met them all more than once, and they all look familiar, but they don't talk to each other, and no one will ask about who you are or what you do. Lu Ligan sat there, secretly admiring the boss who liked to slap his butt with both hands. It seemed that he was specialized in the art. This guy was really well trained and methodical in organizing such a mobile underground casino. All the procedures are the same as last night. After entering the room, you still hand over the BB machine and Big Brother first, exchange the money for chips, and the money is immediately transferred away. Although the players tonight are all the same as last night, the boss still let me emphasize what I emphasized yesterday again. Li Yang prepared 1 million for each of Lu Ligan and Meng Ping today. Lu Ligan and Meng Ping sat at the card table. Li Yang stood watching for a while, then walked to the room and fell on the bed. He fell asleep. At about 4 o'clock, a man ran in, shook him awake, and said to him, Brother Yang, the boss asked you to come over. Li Yang yawned and stretched and walked out. It turned out that Meng Ping and Lu Ligan had lost again. They wanted to ask the boss for another 500,000 chips. When he saw Li Yang coming, the boss asked, I want a guarantee. Li Yang shook his head and said, it's over, no guarantee. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan were taken aback, and Meng Ping asked, what did you say? Li Yang lowered his face, looked at him, and said coldly, I said call it a day. The boss nodded, understood, and walked away. After a while, Ma Zhe sent their big brother over. Li Yang took his own big brother, said leave, and walked out. Meng Ping was furious, but looking at the crowd in the room, he couldn't get angry. He could only follow Lu Ligan out. When they arrived at the corridor outside, what Meng Ping wanted to say, Li Yang said, we would talk about it in the car. The three of them entered the elevator. Meng Ping wanted to say something, but Li Yang ignored him. His face was ugly, and he kept tapping the already lit elevator button on the first floor with his fingers. Meng Ping and Lu Li looked at each other in confusion. This Li Yang had always impressed them with a smile, and they had never seen him lose his face. Today was a special case. This person who had always been smiling suddenly went out of his normal way and gave people a kind of invisible shock. The elevator door opened, and the three people walked silently through the hotel lobby, walked to the parking lot outside, and got in the car. After getting in the car, Li Yang did not do what he said upstairs. When he got in the car, he was still livid, holding the steering wheel with both hands, staring ahead, and driving silently. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan had not yet turned around. They looked at each other and then at Li Yang, who was driving seriously in front of him. They didn't know what to say. There was silence inside and outside the car. The only thing that could be heard was the rustling sound of the car tires pressing against the asphalt road that had just been sprinkled with water by the sprinkler truck in the early morning. The hotel they left was not far from the Jinling Hotel. Li Yang drove the car to the door. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan got out of the car. Li Yang started the car. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan both thought he was going to drive the car. In the parking lot, he didn't expect that after turning down the slope at the door, he drove the car directly out of the door and left. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan stood at the revolving door of the hotel, watching blankly as the car drove out of the door. Meng Ping cursed, "Has this little guy taken some gunpowder today?" Lu Ligan laughed, "Lao Meng, it looks like it's hard to lead the team." The two people entered the lobby, but were not in a hurry to go upstairs. The hotel lobby was empty in the early morning. They walked to the sofa in the lobby, sat down, and smoked. The two of them discussed it for a long time, but neither of them knew that this horse would be here today. "What kind of nerves are going on? Did you have an affair with Su Jiaking?" Lu Ligan asked. Meng Ping thought about it and said it was possible. That guy Su Jiaking, the Mandarin duck and butterfly sect, wished that the two of them were together every day. Li Yang had been with us these 2 days and didn't go home at night. She was probably angry again. With this said, the two people felt that it was very possible that while they were playing cards, Li Yang walked into the room and the two of them had a big quarrel on the phone. After saying that, Meng Ping thought it was impossible. In the past, when they had something to do and had to accompany their leader, they often stayed away from home for 2 or 3 days. Moreover, even if Li Yang and Su Jiaking had a quarrel, he was not that kind of person who didn't know the depth. People who will vent their grievances on themselves and Lu Li. "It's just a pity that today is not a fun day," Lu Ligan cursed. "It's my fault," Meng Ping said, "I didn't prepare more cash. The hotel is not far from here. If we had cash, we could go there by ourselves now." Lu Ligan shook his head and said, "Not necessarily. If the horse hadn't come to lead us there, we probably wouldn't even be able to get in." Meng Ping thought about it and realized what Lu Ligan said made sense. The two of them sat and continued to smoke. After a few cigarettes, their moods calmed down and they felt tired. Then they went upstairs and fell on the bed to sleep. This night, Lu Ligan did not sleep well. "In my sleep, I saw myself still at the poker table. One moment, I won, the next moment, I lost, and the other moment, I lost, kneeling there begging the boss to lend me more chips. The boss asked Ma Zhe to lift himself up and throw him out. The moment he flew to the carpet in the corridor, he saw that Ma Zhe turned into Li Yang again. Lu Ligan slept until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. When he woke up, he was still dizzy. He walked to the door of Meng Ping's room and rang the doorbell. Meng Ping came to open the door, and the door opened. "Damn, this little guy didn't even answer my phone. I wanted to ask him to arrange activities for the evening." At this time, it was almost too late, the bank was about to close. "There is a bank next door, so we can get it ourselves," Lu Ligan said. Meng Ping said yes, and the two of them got up, prepared to go out, and opened the door. They saw Li Yang standing at the door, about to ring the doorbell. As soon as their door opened, Li Yang walked in and went directly to the sofa in front of the window to sit down. Down. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan came back. Meng Ping sat on the bed, and Lu Ligan stood leaning against the writing table. Both of them looked at Li Yang. Before Meng Ping spoke, Li Yang asked, "Mr. Meng, the day before yesterday, Mr. Yang and others said that this matter was settled. Have you been to the bank here yesterday?" Meng Ping was stunned for a moment and asked, "What do you mean? Didn't go? Then you should have been to the bank today. It's such a big thing." Meng Ping blushed, but still asked, "What do you mean?" "I'm just asking you, have you ever been to a bank?" Li Yang said. "You." Li Yang was so aggressive that Meng Ping couldn't react. "We are going to the bank right now," Lu Ligan said with a smile. "Are you ready to go to the bank?" "Now," Li Yang asked, "you still want to go to the bank now because you can't contact me? You want to prepare cash by yourself? What you are thinking about is whether you can have a good time at night. Let's do it." Lu Ligan was at a loss for words and smiled awkwardly. Meng Ping scolded, "Li Yang, how can you talk? What should I say? You want to say that you are my boss, you have a cock, and I can't control you, right? Li Yang looked at Meng Ping and spoke word by word. What he said next shocked Meng Ping and Lu Li. He said, "Mr. Meng, I can tell you that I have already let the wind out. From today on, as long as you show up in all the underground casinos in Nanjing, I will know it immediately and I will rush over and chop off your hands." I said to do it. Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you Woodman and Westward for your monthly votes. Thank you for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. 2 updates today, please forgive me. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 967. Li Yang and Meng Ping said, "When you came to me, I thought that I could do serious things by following you, instead of following a gambler. If I want to do things with a gambler, I don't have to follow you, I can do it myself every minute. Just set up a business and you can make a lot of money casually. I'm not bragging. All those who open underground casinos in Nanjing, whether they are black money casinos or blue money casinos, will give me face and give me their territory and customers. I don't want too many guests of my own. I have a lot of pillars and emperors. If I wanted to get involved with gambling and rely on gambling to make a living and make a fortune, I would have gotten rich long ago. But since I left Lohyukiao prison, I swore that I would never have anything to do with gambling again in my life." "Do you know how I got into Tiger Bridge?" Li Yang asked. Meng Ping shook his head. "Intentional injury, I hurt someone, why did I stab him?" "This guy hurt my brother," Li Yang said. Li Yang's brother Li Jing can be said to be the founder of Nanjing's underground casinos. Before Nanjing, there were almost no decent underground casinos. At that time, everyone could only live for food and clothing, and there was nothing to gamble with. Moreover, the entire social atmosphere can be said to have created a high pressure on gambling, not to mention the large-scale gambling. Gambling means playing cards in private and winning or losing by just a few cents will be reported, sent to study classes, and taken to the streets for cleaning. The formation of real underground casinos in Nanjing began in 83-84. Li Yang's brother Li Jing started to promote the scene at that time, and he was the largest and most powerful in Nanjing. All underground casinos in Nanjing were call him Big Brother. At that time, there were no blue money places, they were all black money places. All the blue money places were big ones, and the places were full of blue notes worth 100 yuan. There were no small tickets, and those who could see small tickets were all it's called a black money ring. In 1983, there were no $100 bills, and the largest denomination was only 10 yuan, so it was a black money market at that time. Later, it was divided into a blue money market and a black money market. After the emergence of the $100 bill in 1987, rich people only go to play blue money venues. Nowadays, those who run blue money shops in Nanjing are all related to Li Jing. It turns out that they are all his subordinates, that is, Maze. After the establishment of the blue money venue, Li Jing's place became the largest blue money venue in Nanjing. There are 2 games every night, one big game and one small game. The big game has 3 card tables, ranging from 60 to 70. There are more than 100 people coming to play. There is a card table in the small field, which is specially used for those who do not want to show their face. In the blue money scene, the boss came to play at the beginning. Later, the boss came with people, including bank presidents, entertainment stars, and TV hosts. Li Jing's scene was filled with dignitaries, both red and black. Celebrities gathered. These people all have this hobby, but there is no safe and decent place to go. Hong Kong and Macau have not returned to China, and it was still very inconvenient to leave the country or go abroad. The higher the level and the larger the number of people who come to play, the safer Li Jing's place will be. Those with shit on their butts automatically become his protection, fearing that if something happens to him, they will all be taken out. Li Yang has been hanging out with his elder brother since he was a child, and of course he knows everything about it. At that time, Li Jing was afraid of the money he earned every day. When cars were still a rarity, Li Jing owned more than a dozen cars, 3 vans, and the others were small cars. He was used to transporting money and picking up guests. Need a car? At that time, there were very few guests with cars, and many people with cars in their units did not want others to know their whereabouts, so Li Jing and the others picked up and dropped off the pillars and the emperor. What are pillars? In the black money scene, there are 3 types of people: hooks, pillars and emperors. Hooks are the kind of people who specialize in finding customers for the casino and are responsible for exaggerating the atmosphere of the casino. When there are few people, they will sit down and play 1 or 2 games, but it won't last long. As long as someone comes, he will give up his seat and just shout from the side. Hooks usually rarely place bets themselves, and the casino will give them a fee every day. Their purpose is to enhance the atmosphere of the casino. Sometimes the people he brings win money and will give him ideas. Sometimes the casino owner is happy and also they will give you ideas, and ideas are money you give casually when you are happy. As for the tank, many places call it water pumping, with a commission of 5 to 10%. Casinos make money from tanks. Zuzi is the most important person in the casino. You can tell from the name that he is the pillar of the casino. Zuzu is the kind of gambler who often comes, and the emperor is the banker. When it comes to the blue money field, there are no hooks, only pillars and emperors. Something happened to Li Jing's casino in the end. In 1990, people reported that underground casinos were prevalent in Nanjing. The Ministry of Public Security sent an investigation team down. When everyone heard about it, all underground casinos were shut down. However, a person who likes gambling can't hold it in. Even if he doesn't gamble for a day, he can still endure it. If he doesn't gamble for 2 or 3 days, his heart will be like a bug, and he will go crazy. The investigation team stayed in Nanjing for a week and didn't leave. These people couldn't hold it in anymore and went to Li Jing and begged him to start a game no matter what. If they didn't play the cards in this hand, they would be ruined. This Li Jing also relies on his boldness and carefulness. He thinks that something will happen to others, which is stupid. These fools are brought out by himself. If something happens to them, how can something happen to me, Li Jing? In Li Jing's heart, he actually wanted to show off, saying, "Look, when you all don't dare to move, I, Li Jing, am the only one who dares to move. No matter what department you are in, how can you still beat me, Li Jing, in a battle of wits and courage?" So in the end, Li Jing couldn't stand the instigation of those gamblers and organized a small game. As a result, something went wrong. When the cheating nail informed the police that they were coming, Li Jing hurriedly sent away the gamblers and was caught when he was about to escape. Li Yang was also present that day, but it was Li Jing who asked him to go with the car that was sending guests away, so he hid. There were no gamblers and no gambling money at the scene. Even if he was caught, Li Jing did not panic. However, he did not expect that someone handed over the casino's account book to the police. In fact, it was also the person who called the investigation team to report Li Jing. This person. This time, it was as if both the person and the person had obtained the stolen goods, and Li Jing could not escape. The person who reported the report was named Jin Wenjia, who was Li Jing's subordinate. Li Jing led him single-handedly. He was originally a nail in the outfield, that is, he would go outside to see if anyone came from the police. Li Jing felt that this guy was smart enough. Smart, when he saw Li Jing, he nodded and bowed, looking very loyal, and gradually gained Li Jing's trust. In addition, nails are basically people with little education. This guy graduated from high school and wore a pair of glasses. People wearing glasses were considered to be intellectuals at that time, so Li Jing paid special attention to him and regarded him as an intellectual. From being a nail in the outfield, he was transferred to being a nail in the infield, that is, working in the casino. Later, the tasks of contacting the pillars and the emperor, managing the nails below, and managing the casino accounts were all given to him. It can be said that he is inferior to Li Jing and superior to everyone else. Li Yang looked down on this person, and reminded Li Jing several times to be careful about this person. He was a villain. However, Li Jing felt that this was because Li Yang was young and ignorant, and probably because Jin Wenjie treated him less well. So respectful to Li Jing. Li Yang didn't like this person because he once went to Huazhu with an emperor from their casino. The emperor won a lot of money that day and was so happy that he decided to take them out. Play. Huazhu is the first KTV in Nanjing, opened by Taiwanese. The three of them opened a box and invited 3 girls to drink and sing. This guy Jin Wenjie always likes to put his girl in the corner, pushing around in the dark, gnawing and groping around, as if today's profit was in vain, and he wanted to make enough. Li Yang felt very embarrassed. That emperor, after all, was also his client. The emperor was sitting there, looking so polite. "You look like you are so damn hungry, are you okay with that?" What made Li Yang think that this guy was nothing was that when they left at the end, the emperor gave each of the 3 girls a tip of 500. At that time, the market price of the girls in Huazhu was 300. When they walked out of the box, Jin Wenjie said going to the bathroom. Li Yang escorted the emperor to the elevator door. The emperor left beforehand. Li Yang walked back to find Jin Wenjie, only to find that this guy didn't go to the bathroom, but was dragging his little girl with him, insisting that she return 200 yuan. Of course, the little girl refused, saying that you didn't give the money, why should I give it back to you? The two of them were arguing over this matter. Li Yang took out 200 yuan from his pocket, gave it to the girl, and told her, "You give him the 200 yuan, and I'll give it to you." The girl then returned the 200 yuan to Jin Wenjie. When they walked outside together, Jin Wenjie was still complaining about Li Yang's troubles. After a while, he said happily that he had a great time today. He kissed and touched him and made 200 for nothing. Of course he knew these 2 things. In fact, belonged to Li Yang, but he just pretended not to know. From this incident, Li Yang felt that this was a villain who reminded Li Jing to release him, but Li Jing refused to listen and fell into his hands in the end. After Li Jing entered, the people outside were in chaos. Many bosses and prominent people also came to Li Yang, asking him to find a way to contact his brother inside, and be sure not to expose them. You must know that at that time gambling is also punishable by jail time. They promised Li Yang various benefits. Li Yang told them, "Don't worry, my brother is not that kind of person, so there is no need to contact him." The police arrested Li Jing and regarded him as a treasure. They knew that there would be many valuable clues on him, so Li Jing could take advantage of it. Of those prominent figures and the many people who opened underground casinos in Nanjing, who wouldn't want to go in? But Li Jing didn't bite anyone, so he carried it by himself. If he had bitten, he wouldn't have died. In the end, he was executed because of his serious crime, bad attitude, and lack of remorse. The reason why Jin Wenjie wanted to report Li Jing was because he felt that he could take this opportunity to get rid of Li Jing, and he could take over everything Li Jing had. His goal was indeed achieved. After Li Jing was executed, someone told Li Yang that it was Jin Wenjie who betrayed his eldest brother. Li Yang went to find Jin Wenjie. It turned out that Jin Wenjie's men were all Li Jing's men. They all wondered when Jin Wenjie would be there. There was an opening scene and Li Yang was told. Even his bodyguards, seeing Li Yang coming and knowing what he was going to do, deliberately hid away. After Li Yang entered, he gave Jin Wenjie a slap. If the emperor and the pillars present hadn't pulled Li Yang and told him, "Don't follow your brother's path, there are still old people in your family," Jin Wenjie would have been doomed that day. Li Yang went to Lohuqiao prison, and Jin Wenjie could no longer stay in Nanjing. Everyone knew that he betrayed Li Jing. Many people wanted to settle accounts with him. The pillars and the emperor ignored him. This underground casino was actually the most it's important to talk about character and trust. When dealing with people with bad character or no credibility, the final outcome will be the same as Li Jing's. Without character and credit, how could it be possible to get 500,000 to 1 million? As long as Li Yang nodded and said yes, I will guarantee it, without even a written receipt. As we all know, this kind of written evidence has no legal effect. It still depends on the person. After Li Yang entered Lohuqiao prison, after thinking about it, he felt that Jin Wenjie was certainly the culprit who killed his eldest brother, but in fact, those gamblers were also accomplices. If they hadn't been unable to bear it and encouraged Li Jing to open the scene, Li Jing would have nothing will happen. Li Yang swore that he would never be friends with a gambler or do anything with a gambler in the future. After Li Yang was released from Lohuqiao prison, several big guys who ran underground casinos in Nanjing held a meeting together. Everyone felt that they owed Li Jing, and told Li Yang, no matter where you start, we will send you the land, as many pillars and emperors as you need. Li Yang declined their kindness. Many of their old friends also felt that they owed Li Jing, and they all knew that Li Jing would only bite them out and he would not die. This was also the reason why Li Yang seemed to have a good connection in Nanjing. This was the result of his brother's hard work. Li Yang said, "Thank you Tin Soldier and On the Shore 131 for the reward. Thank you to Ba Liang, Pai Wu Sun, Buletin Yi, Yi Tai Ching Ming Yu in the book, Sample Thief, and Li Yingjun for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 968. Now, you should know why I had such a big reaction when I found out you were two gamblers, right? You two, the night before yesterday, you said you were looking for excitement, so I took you there for excitement. It's okay to have some excitement occasionally. But when I got there, I found that you not only wanted excitement, but if I asked you to bet, you would risk your life. Gambling, you are just two gamblers, and I am too familiar with gamblers. After a moment of silence, Li Yang continued. Originally, I didn't want to take you there again last night, but after thinking about it, I still need to verify it. I hope I am wrong. If I lose for 2 days in a row, will it make you sober? Based on your ability and level, it's time to casinos can only be treated like pigs being slaughtered. It is impossible for you to win. There is no luck in the casino. I also want to see how long it will take for you to realize that you are actually just two pigs. You guys went, but I found out that if I let you lose for 2 more days, you still won't wake up. If the bet is bigger, you can lose the whole company in one night. You are the kind of people who sit at the card table. On the other hand, people who don't care about anything, even if they still have the last chip in their hands, still have a sense of luck. If you lose even this chip, you still think that you can make up for it as long as you play one more hand. You have no idea that you have absolutely no chance of winning at the poker table. Even if the playing style in front of you is very good, you will still win. Keep going, not knowing how to stop, until the advantage turns into a disadvantage, and in the end you will lose all your chips. If the playing style is not good, you will always bet on the next hand. Yes, you are such people, so I think I have to stop it. Whether you are happy or unhappy, I will not let you keep going, because I've always considered you friends. When Li Yang said this, he stopped. The air in the room seemed to freeze. Meng Ping and Lu Ligan felt a little ashamed. The three of them were silent for a long time. Li Yang sighed, looked at Meng Ping and said, "I have already implemented the bank matters today. You can go through the formalities tomorrow. Mr. Meng, you decide for yourself." If you feel you want to gamble at night, you don't need to bring money. I can take you there. You can bet as much as you want. Yes, you can go to a bigger gambling venue. I will satisfy you and let you lose at all costs until you have fun. But starting from tomorrow, we will make a clean break, and you don't have to go to the bank. In that case, you will only hurt our bank friends who want to help us. Moreover, by tomorrow morning, with your level and character, you will probably be two paupers tomorrow. If you don't want to go at night, that's fine. You go to the bank to go through the procedures tomorrow. What should you do? Or continue to do whatever you want? Mr. Meng, I've said everything that needs to be said. I've also told you everything that needs to be told to you. What's left? You decide for yourself. The three of them continued to be silent. Finally, Meng Ping sighed, stood up, walked over, patted Li Yang on the shoulder and said, "Thank you, brother, we will go to the bank tomorrow." Li Yang let out a long breath and said, "Yes, Mr. Meng, we will go to the bank tomorrow." Lu Ligan looked at Meng Ping and said with a smile, "Old Meng, why are we two so humming unlucky? We just want to make a bet, but in the end we will meet Chen Qiang in Macau, and in Nanjing we will meet this horse. Are we no longer worthy of gambling?" Li Yang also laughed and said, "What kind of good fortune do you think that is? A gambling fortune? I have never seen a long one." "Okay, go to the bathroom and wash your hands," Quid Meng Ping called and looked at his watch. "Let's go, you always have to eat." The three of them went to the revolving restaurant upstairs. Just as they sat down, Lu Ligan's phone rang. Lu Ligan answered it. It was Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen asked him, "Gangzi, is he still in Nanjing?" "Yes, how did you know that I was in Nanjing?" "Tan Shahen told you?" Lu Ligan asked. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, we are having dinner together now." Zhang Chen said, "There is also President Wang. I have already negotiated with President Wang about the guarantee, the poll, and the guarantee." "What are you talking about, Zhang Chen? Who told you to be troublesome?" Lu Ligan jumped up when he heard this and cursed. "Gangzi, listen to me, this is no small matter," Zhang Chen said. "The Meisi River project must continue, and Hangcheng Center cannot stay there for a long time. Tan Shahen and I also said that this project has so many people are watching. Can you stop for half a month? Can you stop for half a year? Come back tomorrow to go through the formalities. Don't be nagging. Xiao Zhao is here too. Brother Ganzi, come back. No matter what happens, we are all a family and we will find a way," Xiao Zhao called from the side. Lu Ligan hung up the phone. Meng Ping and Li Yang both looked at him. Meng Ping asked, "Did Zhang Chen know about the guarantee?" Lu Ligan nodded and said with a wry smile, "He has made an appointment with the president of ICBC Hangcheng branch. Now we are having dinner together. He said that he and the president have already negotiated." "Then do it, Gangzi. Don't let Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao's hard work go to waste," Meng Ping said with a smile. "At this point, if you don't do it, Zhang Chen will not let you go." Li Yang looked at Lu Ligan and said, "Mr. Lu, can I say something?" "You say. If you are doing something serious and you are a brother, you will not help me. You just have to do your best to do things well and use the money well," Li Yang said. "On the other hand, if you use this money to waste it, you would be sorry for your brother." "I'll go," Meng Ping glared at Li Yang and cursed. With these words, "You knocked down two people with one stroke." Li Yang chuckled. Meng Ping said, "But what Li Yang said is quite right. Pole, go back, I won't keep you here, and I will go to do business tomorrow." After saying that, Meng Ping looked at Li Yang and asked, "Is it okay?" "Okay, okay," Li Yang laughed, and he said to Lu Ligan, "Anyway, it's okay for you to stay in Nanjing. Why don't you leave after eating, and I'll call someone to drive you." "Holy shit, are you trying to drive me out of Nanjing?" Lu Ligan cursed. Meng Ping and Li Yang both laughed. Meng Ping said, That's really what you meant. Li Yang stood up and walked aside to make a phone call. When they finished eating and went downstairs, there was already a young man waiting for them at the door of Lu Ligan's room. Li Yang patted the young man's shoulder and talked with Lu Ligan. He said, "Wait, my brother, he will be responsible for helping you drive the car to Hangzhou. When you get to Hangcheng, Mr. Lu, you don't have to worry about anything. He will go back to Nanjing by himself." When Li Yang said these words, Xiaomei kept nodding aside. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen stood in the garden upstairs in the dynamic zone, looking at the big pit in the center of Hangzhou next door. There were 4 high-power water pumps pumping water out of the pit. The 2 of them were smoking, Lu Lipol said. "Zhang Chen, thank you, and thank you Xiao Zhao." "Thank you. Don't be too sentimental. Do you think we are helping you?" "We are helping ourselves." Zhang Chen pointed to the puddle in front of him and said to Lu Ligan, "This puddle, if you put it in, if we keep it here for a few months, how many mosquitoes will grow? How can we treat people here? Shouldn't these business owners below complain?" "Okay, I'll tell them to hurry up." Lu Ligan smiled and said, "By the way, how are the business owners below you doing?" "It's all taken care of. Hagen has more experience than me. I originally wanted to give in a little bit. He went to the operators and said, 'You can adjust the rent if you want, but it's not like this. We will adjust the entire contract. Let's change it to a 1-year contract, and the rent will follow the market every year. If the environment is not good this year, we will lower it a little. If the environment improves next year, we will increase it again. We will tell how much it will increase at that time.'" "Haha, Hagen's move is pretty good and sounds reasonable." "What was the result?" Lu Ligan asked. "Of course, according to the original agreement, the decoration has been gone." "Who can bear to sign a contract once a year?" Zhang Chen said. "What about clothing? It's much worse than in previous years, but it doesn't affect our lives." "Nonsense, it's going to affect your life. How miserable will it be?" Lu Ligan cursed. Zhang Chen said, "Don't tell me, it's really so miserable. Sijiking is only a few months old, and summer clothes have already been on sale. They are selling for 5 to 10 yuan, and the cost can't be afforded. We are even better than in previous years. It's close, but I can still get by. Fortunately, in the factory, workers now don't have to work at night, and they can have a normal rest every Sunday." Lu Ligan was silent. He understood that if the workers in Zhang Chen's factory did not have to work overtime every day and could rest normally on Sundays, then the difference would not be a little bit worse. The output should not even be half of the original. But as Tan Shahan said, he knew it was very bad, but he couldn't help much. Even if he asked more questions, Zhang Chen, a boring guy, might not be able to tell. For the Mishaihe project, they can continue to make mortgages, and sales have begun to slowly pick up. Although they have not even recovered to half of their original daily sales, firstly, they have been mentally prepared for this, and secondly, they feel that such sales will it's considered normal. The most important thing is, as Zhang Chen said, life is pretty good. Life is still going well, and work is about to resume in the center of Hangzhou. Lu Ligan feels that everything is fine and not that difficult. The Asian financial crisis seems to be far away from him. At this time, almost all companies are competing for strength, patience, and determination to see who can continue to hold on. Those companies that cannot hold on will be doomed. 2 real estate companies from Hangzhou came to talk to Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan to see if they could transfer their projects to them. Lu Ligan looked at their projects and thought they were pretty good. He thought it could be done. Take advantage of this opportunity to eat in. But Tan Shahan firmly opposed it. Tan Shahan insisted that this was not the time to expand. Only when there was food in hand would one not panic. Tan Shahan insisted that she couldn't, and Lu Ligan had no choice but to say sorry to the other party. Knowing that Tan Shahan was serious about something, he couldn't defeat her. Thank you for the reward for ranking third from top to reading the book every day. Thank you to Lao Chantang, Ba Liang, Pai Wuzun, Buletin Yi, A Green Fish in the Book, Sample Thief, and Li Yingjun for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The last chapter 0964 was sent out, but it disappeared within seconds. It is being revised. Mainly Li Yang recalls his past in underground casinos. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 969. Lu Ligan was walking on the stairs from Zhang Chen's house upstairs to downstairs when his big brother rang. Lu Ligan picked up the phone and it was Lao Ni. Lao Ni laughed on the phone and asked Lu Ligan. What, Hangcheng Center has resumed work? In fact, Lao Ni had already seen from his office that the Hangcheng Center opposite had stopped working. At this time, Lao Ni decided that it must be a funding problem, so he did not call Lu Ligan. When he called at this time, the other party was very nervous. It's embarrassing. Besides, what if the other party wants to borrow money from me? Today, Lao Ni saw the construction site in the center of Hangzhou. 4 high-power water pumps were pumping water out of the pit, and there were carts of building materials being transported inside. He knew that work was being resumed, which meant that the other party's financial problem has been solved. Lao Ni felt that it was time to make this call. As soon as the phone call came through, Lu Ligan heard Lao Ni laughing on the phone. This was a rare thing for Lao Ni. Lu Ligan said curiously. No way, Mr. Ni, there are so many people in mourning now, but you are so happy. How come you've made a fortune? Lao Ni smiled and said, small fortune, small fortune. At this time, a small fortune is a big fortune. Mr. Ni, you must pass on your experience. Don't worry, Lu Ligan, haven't asked anyone to borrow money yet. No, Mr. Lu, even if you want to borrow money, as a friend, I will definitely help you within your ability. Lao Ni was relieved when he heard that Lu Ligan didn't need to borrow money. Now, why not put it nicely and sell it? An empty favor. Where are you, Mr. Lu? Lao Ni asked. Across from you, I just left Zhang Chen's place. Then come here. Lao Ni said, by the way, you come alone, don't call me Zhang Chen. After hanging up the phone, Lu Ligan was confused as to why Lao Ni didn't let Zhang Chen pass. However, he still got in the car and drove towards the splendid Jiangnan opposite the Jiangnan Canal. Lu Ligan arrived at Lao Ni's office. Lao Ni saw him and asked, so fast? Mr. Ni, tell me first, why do you want me to come alone instead of Zhang Chen? Lu Ligan asked. I don't want to cause trouble. I see that Xiao Zhang and his wife have a good relationship. They don't want to cause trouble, Lao Ni said with a smile. Mr. Ni, what else does it have to do with Xiao Zhao? Lao Ni looked at Lu Ligan and asked, before you returned to Hangzhou, did you know that Xiao Zhang worked for me for a while, helping me make models, but later it was because of a woman and a rotten coward in my factory? Had a fight? Lu Ligan nodded. He had heard Chu Tianlin talk about this before. Lu Ligan understood. He asked, you mean, this woman is here now? Lao Ni nodded and said, yes, and what I want to tell you today is what they are doing. Lu Ligan nodded and said, Lao Ni, you are doing the right thing. You are enough of a friend. It is indeed better to do less than to do more. How is this financial crisis going? Lao Ni asked. Sales have dropped a lot, and I was very sad some time ago, Lu Ligan said, but now that it's over, we just make do with it. By the way, Mr. Ni, how are you doing here? I'm not bad, Lao Ni chuckled. The project in Shaoxing, according to your words, was opened early. By the time the crisis came, almost all of it had been sold and I made some money. I was originally talking about another piece of land. Looking at the situation, I don't dare to take it anymore, so it's better not to touch it. I also made some money in other projects. In the factory, it's already a financial crisis. Everyone is screaming, "Can your company still make money?" Lou Ligon was surprised. No, companies make a lot of money, Lau Ni said with a smile. It's another place. Do you still remember that I have an account in Hong Kong and asked you to help me transfer 20 million into it? Remember, what happened to the account? That's a futures account. That account made money, and now there are almost 70 million Hong Kong dollars in it. You can't, Lau Ni, Lou Ligon shouted. It's only been more than half a month since I transferred the money. Are you saying that I just made 50 million? Less, more than 40 million, Lau Ni said. That's cruel enough. How did you make money? Lau Ni said, I don't know how to operate it in detail. Isn't it a financial crisis? All futures types in Southeast Asia have plummeted. All our accounts are empty orders. On the 13th, we made more than 8 million yuan. Later, just keep making money and keep making money, and things keep falling. What are futures and what are short orders? Lou Ligon asked. Old Ni, please explain clearly. I can't explain clearly. Come on, I'll ask someone to explain it to you clearly. But Xiao Lu, don't talk nonsense about what you see here, Lau Ni confessed. You know, am I the kind of person who talks too much? Lau Ni nodded and walked out with Lou Ligon. They walked to the door of an office. The door was closed, and there was a sign of Financial Business Department on the door. Lou Ligon asked, Mr. Ni, when did you establish such a department? Does that sound a bit weird? That's when I ask you to help transfer money. Lau Ni said and knocked on the door. A woman inside the door shouted, Please come in. Lau Ni pushed the door open and went in. Lou Ligon saw that the room was unremarkable. There were two desks facing each other. Unlike other offices, there were many fax machines and telephones on the desks here. There are 2 fax machines in total, and in front of each person, there are 3 red, black, and orange telephones. The walls are covered with electrocardiogram-like forms. When they entered, the 2 people inside were talking on the phone. Sitting opposite the office door was a girl wearing a red t-shirt. She was very beautiful. Lou Ligon liked Zhang Chen at first glance. That kind of person, I concluded in my heart that it must be this girl who Zhang Chen fought for. When the girl saw them coming in, she seemed to be stunned for a moment, because this was the first time that Lau Ni had brought someone in, and they were still outsiders. After being stunned for a moment, the girl nodded to them and continued talking on the phone. Lou Ligon heard her saying, Short order, or empty order, you place 1,000 hands for me. The person with her back to the office door was a woman wearing a white t-shirt. When she turned around to look, Lou Ligon found that she was average looking and about the same age as the girl opposite, but the girl opposite seemed much younger than her. She was also stunned for a moment, then nodded to them and continued to make her phone call. Lou Ligon was even more sure that the girl Zhang Chen was flirting with must be the girl in the red dress. She was so beautiful. If I went there, I would flirt with her too. Lau Ni took Lou Ligon and sat down on the sofa. The 2 of them sat there. When the girl in the white t-shirt finished making the call, Lau Ni invited her to come over and sit on the sofa. Ren Rongrong stood up, poured 2 glasses of water for the 2 of them, and then walked over with the water. Lau Ni introduced them to each other and said, This is Ren Rongrong and that is Chen Yakin. When Lau Ni introduced Chen Yakin was still talking on the phone, but turned around and smiled brightly at Lou Ligon. Damn it, she looks so pretty when she smiles. Lau Ni then introduced Lou Ligon and told them that this is my friend Mr. Lu. Our 3 office buildings and the Hangcheng Center opposite are all owned by Mr. Lu. After hearing this, Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin's eyes lit up. Ren Rongrong felt that such a big boss finally met today. She quickly stretched out her hand and said, "Hello, Mr. Lu." Chen Yakin's eyes lit up because she heard the 2 words opposite said by Lao Ni, and then remembered, wasn't this person the same person who came with Zhang Chen that day? She held the phone in one hand and turned a pencil on the table with the other hand, but she had no intention of reaching out and shaking it. Lu Ligan wanted to shake it in his heart. Lao Ni and Ren Rongrong said, "Mr. Lu wants to know about futures. Xiao Ren, please introduce it to him without any reservations." Ren Rongrong agreed, and she explained the basic ABC of futures to Lu Ligan, telling him how the futures market works, what is a buy order, also called a long order, what is a sell order, also called a short order, and what is leverage. What's going on with first-hand and futures contracts? She stood up, walked over to the electrocardiograms, and told him that these were trend charts, also called candle charts. The candle charts were invented by the Japanese. Look at the bars, do they look like candles? All called candle charts. The white column is a positive column, indicating that the price is rising at this point in time. The top horizontal line is the closing price at this time point, and the bottom horizontal line is the opening price at this time point. The top of the line is the highest price at this point in time, and the bottom is the lowest price. Is it clear at a glance? Lu Lepol nodded. Ren Rongrong continued, if it is a black column, it is called a negative column, indicating that the price is falling at this point in time. These lines are exactly the opposite of the previous meanings. This bar can mark any time point, such as a bars can represent a day, 3 hours, or half an hour, but the entire graph must be consistent. We cannot say that the former one represents a day and the latter one represents an hour. Lu Ligan nodded, indicating that he understood. He pointed at the undulating arcs on the picture and said, "What do these lines mean?" This is called the moving average. There are daily moving averages, and there are also 10-day and 20-day moving averages. This is used when doing technical analysis. Ren Rongrong said, there is also this line, called the take profit line, which rises up to here. At that time, the exchange must close positions. We have already given instructions to them. People cannot be too greedy. This is called the stop loss line. That is, when it falls here, the position must be closed. I know, I'm just giving up when things go wrong. That's right, Ren Rongrong said with a smile. Mr. Lu said it very well. No one can guarantee that every order will be profitable, but a good trader must be someone who can strictly implement trading disciplines and lose money. When you win, you can stop your losses in time, and when you win, you can be safe. Lu Ligan nodded. He felt that these futures sounded similar to gambling. You either buy or sell. If you buy in the right direction, you will win money, just like betting. Lu Ligan and Lao Ni returned to Lao Ni's office. Lu Ligan and Lao Ni said that they really saw it. They didn't expect that there was such money in this world. Lao Ni smiled and said, I have also learned. In the past, I always felt that real estate was the most profitable. After starting this business, I found that it is more profitable than real estate. Lu Ligan nodded. He remembered and asked, Mr. Ni, is the woman you mentioned about Zhang Chen wearing red clothes? Lao Ni nodded and said yes. Lu Ligan sighed, Mr. Ni, you are right. We must guard against it. Just keep it under control, Lao Ni said with a smile. Thank you Tin Soldier and On the Shore 131 for the reward. Thank you Tang Wei and Yu for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a nice evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 970. Lu Ligan came out from Lao Ni's place and went to Zhang Chen's place. When Jiang Chen saw him, he asked curiously, "Why are you back again?" "What, you're not welcome?" Lu Ligan asked. "You have nothing to do," Jiang Chen asked. "No, Tan Shahen has done everything she should do. Lao Meng is right. I am now in the company and have been ignored. Even Lao Tan only listens to Tan Shahen's words and not to mine. That Ying Ying is even more needless to say. I have completely become Tan Shahen's follower," Lu Ligan said. "I am sitting in the office and being scolded by Tan Shahen, so I might as well stay here with you." Jiang Chen laughed. Lu Ligan shouted, "Don't laugh. Seriously, this Tan Shahen seems to be back in the troupe again. As long as I say 3 sentences, she will definitely catch her and scold her for one of them." "That's not bad, it means your relationship is back again," Jiang Chen said. Lu Ligan chuckled, "Don't tell me, it's true, Jiang Chen, except that we don't go to bed now, everything else is really the same as before. When I took off my clothes, she took me to wash them. I washed my shorts but didn't even touch my hands." "You don't dare to touch it, right?" Jiang Chen said with a smile. Lu Ligan nodded and asked, "Jiang Chen, tell me, what will happen if I touch you?" "I'll probably get a slap in the face." Lu Ligan was discouraged and said, "It's really possible." "Jiang Chen, tell me, why am I invincible with other women, but when I meet this Tan Shahen, I just give her some medicine? One thing descends on another, and you are the object that is descended," Jiang Chen said. "I'm trapped," Lu Ligan sighed. "I feel like my neck is trapped again. Just like in the troupe, when we are together, we want to hide away for a while, even if we escape for a drink. This time go back and stick your neck in immediately. Jiang Chen, do you think I'm cheap?" Jiang Chen smiled and said, "Have you ever been a bit mean? Okay, you and I have no way to communicate anymore, so we should go to Genshin power plant to see Emperor Lu, and flirt with Yao Fen and Zhao Xian by the way." Lu Ligan stood up and walked out. After walking out, he did not go downstairs. He walked out through the small door and walked to the garden on the roof. He looked at the big pit next door and the construction site. After the construction started, Lu Ligan stood here and watched, feeling very happy in his heart. He couldn't get tired of watching it. "This is the center of my Hangzhou city, not the place where the god of death lives." When Hangzhou Center got up, he stood on the roof of my Hangzhou Center and looked outside. What he saw was my Hangzhou and my West Lake. Lu Ligan remembered that when he was upstairs in Meng Ping's house and looked at Meng Ping's Nanjing that scene. After Mr. Ni and Lu Ligan walked out, Ren Rongrong walked to the cabinet. She took out a folder from the cabinet, returned to her seat, opened the folder, picked up the phone on the table, and started doing her daily homework. One of them, he called his friend at Bank of China, asked her about the daily foreign exchange price, and filled in a form with a pen. Putting down the phone, she stared at the form. After looking at it for a while, she saw that Chen Yakin had already made a call. Ren Rongrong said to her, "Yakin, you are familiar with the situation. Can you go to the supply and marketing company and ask her what she has done in the past month? PDA market." Chen Yakin said yes. She stood up and walked out. Ren Rongrong picked up the phone on the table, called Hong Kong, and said to the other party, "David, please tell me the latest PX price." The other party told her, and she recorded everything in her notebook. She stood up with the notebook and pen, walked to the wall, and marked the latest price in front of a PX trend chart on the wall. Then stood there, staring blankly. After a while, Chen Yakin came back and gave her a piece of paper. Ren Rongrong took the piece of paper and compared it with the wall. Then he walked back to his desk and sat down, picking up the file again. After watching it for a while, she said to Chen Yakin, "Yakin, I think South Korea is going to be in trouble." "How do you know?" Chen Yakin asked. "The Korean won is getting lower and lower against the US dollar, and the trend is getting faster and faster." I can see it. It is impossible for those international speculators to not see it. I think the Korean won will be their target next, Ren Rongrong said. Chen Yakin looked at Ren Rongrong and asked, then we short PX. Ren Rongrong bit her lip and thought for a moment, then she said to Chen Yakin, I don't think that's enough. Chen Yakin smiled and said, then what else do you want? I want to short the Korean won directly, Ren Rongrong said. Chen Yakin was startled, you mean foreign exchange speculation? No more futures. When we open this account, we can do everything, including futures, foreign exchange and stocks. But we have never done foreign exchange, Chen Yakin said. That's not the same. They are all transactions, and the behavior of transactions is the same, Ren Rongrong said. If we do foreign exchange, we can increase the leverage to 100 times. Chen Yakin was startled again, you are crazy, 100 times. How big is the risk? Ren Rongrong shook his head, it's the same, if you have to lose, you will lose twice as much, but if you win, think about the leverage of 100 times, 100 times is still small, if it depends on my temper, I will do it 200 times. The problem is, if we want to speculate in foreign exchange, we have to convince Mr. Ni first. Will he agree? Chen Yakin said. At first he agreed to do this, but he came here for hedging. But what we did later was hedging. He was not very happy, and he never asked. For the boss, in fact, no matter what you do, as long as you can make money for him, it will be fine. If you make money, he will just be happy and don't care how you earn the money, Ren Rongrong said. Chen Yakin was right when she thought about it. Although Ren Rongrong used hedging to persuade Lao Ni at the beginning, most of the things they did later had nothing to do with hedging, and Lao Ni didn't know and didn't want to know. For him, what he cares about every day is whether the money in this account has increased or decreased. When there were less visits, he would sit down and listen to their explanations as to why they went less. But when there were more visits, he wouldn't even ask how they got there, but would only care about how much more there was. How are you, Yakin? Ren Rongrong asked. Then let's go talk to him now, Chen Yakin said. Ren Rongrong quickly shook her head, and Chen Yakin looked at her and asked, not going? What do you mean? What I mean is, you can make the decision, we might as well not even say anything, Ren Rongrong said. Chen Yakin shouted, isn't that bad if you don't even say hello to him? What's wrong, Yakin? Ren Rongrong snorted, can't you make the decision on such a small matter? In my opinion, you must be half of this company's family, otherwise. Ren Rongrong did not continue, but Chen Yakin knew what she meant. She was referring to her relationship with Lao Ni. She felt that she would be wronged if she could not be half of her family. An old man, what do you want from him? Chen Yakin's face turned red, but her heart was provoked by Ren Rongrong's words. Yeah, what did I get? I don't even have such a little decision-making power, why? If we lose money, I'll get out at worst, Ren Rongrong said. Can he let you leave? Maybe he won't be able to let you go if you want to leave, right? Yakin, I'm not even afraid of being fired. What are you afraid of? Chen Yakin lowered her head and thought for a moment, and finally made up her mind. She said, yes, let's do it, or I'll get out with you in the worst case. Ren Rongrong smiled and said, no, Lao Ni is reluctant to let you go. The two people immediately decided to sell all the orders in their hands, and all the funds in their accounts were used to short the Korean won. After shorting the Korean won, Chen Yakin was worried every day. First, she was afraid that Ren Rongrong would make a mistake in judgment. 100 times leverage would not be able to withstand a sharp appreciation in even one day. If so, their position would be liquidated, and their margin account would be wiped out. Will return to zero. After doing foreign exchange, Chen Yakin looked at relevant information and found that this kind of sudden surge at a certain point in time on a certain day does exist, especially for the Japanese yen. The Bank of Japan often chooses to suddenly kill short sellers in the middle of the night and buy a large amount of Japanese yen in the foreign exchange market, causing the Japanese yen to suddenly appreciate in a short period of time and causing those accounts shorting the Japanese yen to liquidate their positions. To slow down the depreciation pressure on the yen. If the same situation happens to South Korea once, they will be doomed. After all, in fact, Chen Yakin is still afraid that Lau Ni will come in one day and suddenly become interested in what they are doing and ask them to show him the transaction slip. That fool also knows that they are no longer doing futures, but foreign exchange. Fortunately, such a thing never happened. A few times, Lau Ni almost wanted to ask. At this time, Ren Rong would suddenly stand up, say something happened, and walk out. Chen Yakin naturally knew what she was doing, and she hurriedly just go and distract Lau Ni. Probably because Chen Yakin was here, and Lau Ni himself felt that he was already sure about Chen Yakin, so he didn't care about what they were doing. What he cared about was whether there was more money in the account. Fortunately, the Korean won is also very promising. It has been depreciating during this period, which makes their profits increase every day. Chen Yakin talks to Lau Ni every day, and she really is not lying to him. On September 4, the Korean won suddenly depreciated sharply, falling to 906 Korean won per US dollar. Their book amount was already more than 110 million Hong Kong dollars. During this period of shorting the Korean won, they made a book profit of more than 50 million yuan. Chen Yakin said, "That's it, wrong, let's close the position." Ren Rong shook her head. She said, "No, I think it will still drop." Even traders in Hong Kong suggested that they close their positions. They told them that today had hit the largest drop since 1990, 906, which was the average market exchange rate implemented by South Korea in March 1990. Lowest point since. Yakin, believe me, it will definitely fall again. We can't close the position, Ren Rong insisted. As a result, the next day, the Korean won appreciated sharply, back to 899 won to 1 US dollar. After re-election, Yang Rong also felt anxious. Could it be that when it reached 906, it had bottomed out, and the Korean won began to move up? For the next whole day, the Korean won traded sideways between 898 and 899. By about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Ren Rong couldn't hold it anymore and asked Chen Yakin, "How about we harvest?" Chen Yakin shook her head and said fiercely, "No, since we have already waited, then wait. I also think that the Korean won will still fall and Koreans will not be able to sustain it." Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes from Tianying 1978, It's Not the Impossible World, and A Blue Underworld Fish. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health.